Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up SQL database for MariaDB server in Azure cloud. So first thing, make sure to log into Azure portal. Next thing, we can check the services from menu, or you can also search from search bar. Best option is to go to services. Now here I'm going to check for databases, and this is the service listing that you need to look for. Here you can see Azure database for MariaDB server. Click on that. It should take you to a specific page where you can see there is no instance of MariaDB. Click on create. Now here you can see the options that you have for project. Your subscription, currently I am on free trial. Once that ends I will be on pay as you go, so that group will be listed here. Then comes resource group, so I'll pick one. Then you can see the server details under which I will name the server. So let's say I will name something like this, right? So Dave Maria is the name I am adding right now. Okay, now the next thing, choose the data source. I don't want backup, so I will not choose that one, right? Then comes location. I can choose the recommended one, or I can simply pick what's possible or closer to my site. So say something like Central India, I will pick that one. Then I will have to pick the version of MariaDB 10.2, 3, or what's stable at the time. In your case it could be 12 or 13, right? So pick what works for you. Now to choose the storage and compute, what you can do is choose the general purpose. 4 core 100 GB is the minimum that you have to select. You can configure this. It will take you to another page. So here you can see basic for workload require light compute IO performance. You can select that, but I'm not sure if that would be allowed or not, but we will go with that, right? Then let's say we can apply that. If not, it will fail, and then we will have to resort to 4 core 100 GB storage. You can also take a look at the pricing cost, as you can see, and apart from that you can also take a look at backup part, right? So if it takes like backup, right, locally or geo redundant, that price will apply as well, right? So I will be going with something very simple. Then I will add my admin name. Next comes password, which is at least 10 to 12 characters. That would be accepted. Now let's add the password. Next thing, we will review. You can see all the details that we have available, right? We'll click create and let this particular instance validate and allow us the deployment. And as you can see, the deployment is in progress, and you can see the green check, and then we will go to the resource and explore its properties further. Now currently, as you can see, we have option to access this particular MariaDB server using MySQL Workbench, dbeaver, or even your typical tools like navigate management studios, and maybe even tools like those free tools that you can use to access the server, Azure Data Studio included. So in my case, I do have Azure Data Studio. I will be using that to connect, right? So what I can do right now is I will let this deployment complete. Meanwhile, I can show you option for Azure Data Studio. So let me open that. Okay, do note that MariaDB and MySQL would require extension of MySQL in order to connect, right? So to take that into mind, so we'll check extension. So let's take a look at that. MariaDB has no extension, so we will be using same details like MySQL. So yes, there is extension for MySQL. We'll have to install this, so I will cover this separately. Yeah, but for now you can get the idea. Okay, so let me clean things up, and here you see deployment is complete. Now let's go to the resource. And here you see my admin login name, right? SSL is enforced. Now the thing is, it will show you the resource utilization here. Here you can also see SSL is being enforced. Now few things we have to set is connection security, right? So for that you can see allow access to Azure services. You can set that to yes. Add current IP address, right? And you can see our current IP address is allowed, right? Now you can also check the ports 002, right? If you create a rule using no IP address will be blocked, and any host on internet can access the coordination in this server group, right? So if you want to just test it and you don't have any data, you can continue that, right? And make sure to save the security. You can always come here and delete this particular rule, right? So that's very important setting when setting up MariaDB server in Azure SQL database. Few things to note is connection strings. These connection strings you need with application like dbeaver and few others where you need them. Even for your application development you would be needing that, right? Apart from that, you have few other things to explore: monitoring, then automation, etc. Now you have server parameters, properties, right? So these things right, so we have pretty much everything settled now. We can now use our login and password to connect to this particular MariaDB instance from outside the Azure as well, and you can then use that to create your database and upload some test data, right? So we will try and cover that part separately with things like Azure Data Studio, and if you want you can also try out dbeaver. So I already have dbeaver, right? So we will be covering that too in separately and with its own options. As you can see, we have started to get some spikes here for resource utilization. So I'll be using this particular instance of MariaDB for showing you some of the demonstrations with connection to other database tools. And once I'm done with that, I will come here and I will first stop this instance, then I will delete it and return the resources back.